I want to tell you about a wonderful conversation I had yesterday with a dear, dear friend whom I hope is watching as we speak. I hope he is watching. And we were talking about some various things, and I've known him for a very long time. And we're talking about how there is a fascinating subject regarding the way people think as to the levels of understanding. How do people really understand things? I just did a brand new video on the private channel. And it deals with not the usual issues of Europe and NATO and Russia and Ukraine and Putin and Zelensky and the usual. It's not like that. It's a little bit different. And it goes back yet again. Let me put that link up for you if you are so interested. And by the way, I implore you to subscribe and also to like this video. You know the routine. Subscribe to the channels, blah, 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 blah. Okay. But we react. I happened to watch yesterday. I was in a studio and I'm looking at various news programs, and it was nothing but reaction. So the level of understanding that I saw was de minimis, if non-existent, completely. There was no understanding. It was reaction. And I want to explain that to you and why that's so critical. It's a big difference. There is a big difference between you knowing how to cook, knowing how to prepare food, and saying, that looks great. That's nice, but that's not going to do the trick. What news is today, for the most part, is reaction. It is not any kind of breaking things down, looking at the history, comparison. No. It is reaction. And the reason for that is because there's not a lot of time. There's not a lot of time for specifics, and frankly, nobody cares what you say anyway. I must tell you this. You might think of this as being priggish or pedantic or whatever. I was listening to a fascinating piece regarding I only watch one segment of one show only on what you would call cable news. Only one. And within this first segment, and I think it was one of the most interesting and fascinating reviews of what's going on, two classic mispronunciations that I have to share with you. And I love this. And this has nothing to do with what we're going on. But this is more of like a hobby, but also an appreciation for what words mean, because words are critical, how you say them, and the like. The first is, the statement was made something to the effect of, they did not know whether a particular politician knew what LGBTQ meant, what this, quote, acronym meant. What's wrong with that? Let me ask you this. If I say to you, he doesn't even know what the acronym LGBTQ, IA, or whatever, he doesn't even know what that acronym means. What's wrong with my statement? Anybody? Anybody want to care to weigh in on that? Or is that of any interest whatsoever to you? I think it is phenomenally interesting. Do you understand this? Do you understand this? Do you see what the difference is? And later on, during the course of this, they were using the word, and for reasons I do not understand this. I don't. It's like when people used to say prostrate for prostate. I don't know why they would do that. For prostate surgery, they would say prostrate surgery, which if he was prostrate, well, I hope so. In any event, another one was mastectomy, not mastectomy, mastectomy. Within one sentence. Fascinating. How many of you have heard Tijuana? Drives me crazy to the Herb Alpert and the Tijuana brands. No, it's Tijuana. Tiju. Well, whatever. How many say ophthalmologist? It's ophthalmologist. What? I've never heard that. Well, it's true. Doesn't mean it's not true. Diphtheria, diphtheria. Wait a minute. What? Hold it. Wait a minute. No. Oh, yeah. How many of you say tinnitus versus tinnitus? And it goes on and on. There's these wonderful mispronunciations. But just so that you know, in case anybody cares to know, when you have a group of letters put together and you say the letters ATM, by the way, don't say ATM machine, VIN number, because you're being redundant. Automatic teller machine, vehicle identification number, it's VIN or ATM. If you say the letters FBI, if you do, then that is an initialism or an abbreviation. But if you give it as a word, scuba, radar, NATO, things like that, that's an acronym. And a mnemonic versus a mnemonic, I've heard this, a mnemonic is a little trick to teach you, for example, the serialization of something. Like I still know kings play chess on Friday, generally speaking. Kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. Remember this? Little things like that. Just to let you know. Now, does that matter? Yes. Why? Because it does. That's all. Because it does. I was watching something before. I love this. And there's this world scientist, Brian Greene, and they were talking about Einstein still, and this thing, gravity. Gravity, just this thing called gravity. Still talking about it, still breaking it apart, still fascinated by how he came along and how he just changed everything. The most incredible thing anybody's ever seen. So to make a long story short, they're still talking about how Newton had his idea. Einstein had the idea of time-space being curved and the curvature of time-space and all this. Let me tell you how today we would have this on regular, I guess we'd call this, how we would have this on cable news. This is what you would do. So you're an Einstein apologist? Is that what you're doing? So you're into the guy with the hair, right? What? Newton's no good for you? What are you into? It would be personal. It would be very critical. You would take sides. There would be this definitive political distinction between it wouldn't be, time, space versus whatever. No, it would be personal. It would be reduced to an absurd argument, but it would be a reaction, not an analysis. There are people still trying to figure out the simplest of things. How many dimensions do we have? How many are there? Does string theory work? Could we have an 11 dimension? They're still talking about this. And they do it without any hesitation whatsoever, without any kind of argument. Nobody screams. Nobody yells. Nobody calls each other names. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. And there are people, believe it or not, who took great umbrage years ago at new ideas, new thoughts. When Niels Bohr came along, when quantum mechanics, it was, you were going up against Einstein. And when Einstein went up against Newton, it was fascinating. But science, remember, trust the science? Nobody wants to trust the scientific method. Nobody wants to know why we do things. I'm doing a brand new video coming up on one of the most fascinating, oh my God, this is an issue which I cannot wait to talk about. And again, I do this on my private channel for reasons that, I can spend time, and frankly, it's, it works something like this. Let me see where. Oh, yes. This was one of the most fantastic things I've ever seen. This is called The Psychology of the Digital Age. How is it that people are so angry with folks? Where is it that this thing called social media, and let's break this down, social, people think, be social versus anti-social, social media inspires this reaction. Where does this come from? And I'm not going to mention in particular, sometimes these rows that occur, these arguments, these debates between certain people regarding certain folks, regarding certain issues. And I was reading something, which I'm going to be talking about again on my private journal. And it's called the online disinhibition effect. This blew my mind. And one of the things which is interesting is that there were neurological corollaries made between this and Tourette's and PTSD. And also PTSD as an epigenetic phenomenon. Now, what I just told you right now, believe me, is not going to appeal to the majority of people who want to talk about eating salt and raw meat. I recognize that fact. And I live with it. I'm ready to accept the consequences of it. But to me, you're missing the most fascinating thing ever. How is it that the neurological theories and hypotheses and facts behind Tourette syndrome and PTSD, what does this have to do with somebody acting a fool on social media? One of them is called this thing called disinhibition. And the part of the brain, the part of the frontal lobe, the part which is, and others as well, the basal ganglia and others, is knowing when to shut things off, to shut things down. Enzymes do this. Enzymes, there's acetylcholine, acetylcholinesterase, to stop it. If you didn't have that, you'd reach out for something and never stop reaching. You would just be lunging forever. This is the inhibition. When the inhibition turns into disinhibition, then we've got problems. PTSD is believed is so interesting because not everybody who has seen a traumatic event has PTSD. Not everybody who's been through the same effect has it. It's not necessarily a cause and effect. Yes, you might say it's because of that. But there is a part, the break part, it is posited, the break part, the inhibition as to amygdala, fight or flight, getting the right signals, doesn't work. It's been shunted, it's been short-circuited in cases of people with PTSD, so that sounds, memories, nightmares trigger this because of that the break is missing. Now, there's another interesting aspect to it as well, and it's not just PTSD, but it's others as well. It's in terms of Tourette's, this more basic. Tourette's is fascinating. Fascinating. OCD, tics, this repetition, these kind of like these routines. Again, part of this disinhibition part. But look at this. Dissociative anonymity. This is the most beautiful. I'm going to be talking about this on the private channel. When you are there, you're not there anymore. There are people. Have you ever had somebody you don't know who comes out and seemingly despises you? There are people I don't particularly care for, but I don't despise. I don't hate them. I made a comment the other day about there was a piece that George Carlin did, which was one of the most stupid things I've ever heard in my life. George Carlin is, of course, wonderful, but in this one respect, he was explaining something. And I said, this is just balderdash. Oh my God. The other day I made a statement, and I found this to be the most fascinating, about my disbelief or misunderstanding or lack of appreciation for the notion of the devil. And people went crazy. How dare you? Again, reaction. And what's the reason for it? First of all, disinhibition. Normally in public you would say, well, I'm not going to, I'm going to, I mean, it's not that big of a deal. I'm not going to go crazy. That's a disinhibitory part. This normally is, call it what you want, manners. Also, you're not anonymous in public. You're standing right there. But here, this dissociative anonymity, you're not only are you uninhibited, or there's disinhibition, but you don't recognize anybody. They don't recognize you, and you feel this sense of, not only am I anonymous, but I'm dissociated from reality. Then I love this asynchronicity. I'm not replying to you in real time. It's not a conversation. The synchronization of reaction doesn't exist. I'm applying to something later on. Solipsistic introjection, dissociative imagination, minimizing authority. Oh my God, just go. It's so beautiful. And what that is the reason this new level of understanding that you've got to see in everything. Last night, for some particular reason, I don't know, Twitter was acting a bit funny. You couldn't follow somebody, or they were limiting something. I don't know what it was. My response as an adult, a 64-year-old, relatively mature, rational person, I said, well, let's see what happens. Just that simple. Well, let's see. Might be a glitch, might be a problem. Let's see what happens. Oh, no. Oh, no. That's not what happened. It was everything. Now, let's take this. Here's what you do. It's Elon Musk. He's part of the group. I knew it. See? Now, there's another component to this. Why is that important? Because that draws more reaction. Yes, you go, brother. I knew it. Everything is diabolical. Everything. There's no such thing as coincidence. It's all a part of the grand scheme. Every side does this. This is one of the parts of our collective psychology. The other side, whatever the other side is, could be super, whatever. They're part of a cabal, of a consortium, of a something. Now, sometimes it's true, but not all the time. And I know people overuse the word Occam's razor, but it's beyond anything that we've ever seen. So I would be less than honest if I didn't tell you that I jumped in on the fray. And I was just stoking the fire, goading, stoking, saying yes. Half of what I ever tweet, it's not that I don't believe. It's I'm experimenting with you. Do you ever go to a doctor and he says, all right, do like this? Ow, good. Okay, that's the scapula. Why'd you do this? I don't do this in real life. Why make it? Because In order for me to find out what's wrong, I've got to make you do this. That tells me a lot. So the reaction I provide on Twitter and social media, I would never provide in real life. But I know the reaction it will get from you. Because I'm sitting here having the time of my life playing you. Because it is so much fun. Why? Because we live in a world right now of reaction. Okay? Now, let me give you an example. First and foremost, number one, I'm going to say this again. If you want to ever find something, there's one thing that every human being knows right now today, especially Americans: health, vitamins, nutrition, disease, pathology. Right now, you can get up to 15% off of Z-Snack for yourself and your kids by using this link right now that is provided. And I always tell people, remember, there's nothing worse than a little knowledge. But I will tell you this, that the information that is available regarding this elixir, regarding vitamin C, zinc, vitamin D, which is, again, a marvel, and quercetin, flavonoids, a variety of things. Not to mention, throw into the mix the fact that people don't eat right. You never hear people say, well, I'm doing this because I don't eat right. Never. People swear they're experts in everything when it comes to vitamins, everything involved minerals, but their diet is fine. Nothing wrong with it. It's Neanderthal or Paleo or whatever. They always have a name for it. Oh, no. They never do this. Never. We know better. So Z-Stack, 15% off. That's it. Right there. That is for you. Just to let you know. Now the other one, which is I'm thinking to myself, I remember talking to you about EMP Shield. And you were one of the few folks who understood what an electromagnetic pulse means. And in the last couple of days or week, we have had more articles, more discussions, more fueled commentary on this subject than we ever have before. And EMP Shield is this is a veteran-owned organization, Midwest. Please, I import you to read the stories, read of who they are, they've undergone testing, this technology, by the Keystone Compliance, a military certified facility, listed by the Department of Homeland Security, American made. Just read this. Protecting your home and your car and your RV and your generator from an electromagnetic pulse. Think a Carrington class super coronal boom. And in the last week or so, for reasons that I think you probably know, we're talking about that more than you can imagine. So there you have it. I don't treat you like children. I don't browbeat you. You're smarter than 95% of the population because of your being curious. You're open-minded. Not with everything, but for the most part, I can lay something on you that the majority of people cannot. You have no idea. Okay? Now, there's that. So let me just ask you this. Let me just remind you of these incredible stories and issues and how I look back. And I'm fascinated by how people react to it. I don't know about you. Have you heard, simple question, yes or no? Yes with number 1, 2. Have you heard a thorough, lucid, intelligent, fair, and accurate appraisal of the State of the Union? Yes or no? I haven't. I'm just letting you know. I have not heard. I know where to go in order to get a narrowcast view of it. I don't understand this. But have you heard anything? Have you heard anything? You see, do you go to a doctor that says, listen, I've got this lump here and I'm worried about it? Do you know a doctor I can go to that'll tell me it's nothing? What? Do you know a doctor I can go to who will tell me, don't worry about it? Well, what if you should worry about it? I don't care about that. I want you to go and tell me. I don't want to hear bad news. I want to hear the news my way. You wouldn't do that. Would you like me to give you a scale that gives you the right, a bathroom scale, weight, that gives you the weight you would like to weigh or the weight you do weigh? What would you like? Years ago, remember when I can remember this in high school. I saw this. People wore, I never had a pair of jeans. I don't even remember. So fairly recent. I just never had jeans. Never liked them. But and the back of the Levi's, they had your weight. Not your weight. What do I say? Your waist. And people would say, I don't want to get that. And I saw somebody one time black it out. Took a marker. Or you can get new labels that were thinking about maybe having a different. Wait a minute. You're missing the point of this. There are people who want to do this. Have you ever seen someone who wears a t-shirt that says Harvard to I guess make you think that they went to Harvard or something? I don't understand this. I don't understand any of this. I don't understand these things. So when it comes to the State of the Union, I have asked people, did you see it? Yes. And for some reason, people think they're going to ask me, what did you think? I said, well, do you know what the purpose of the State of the Union is? What? Do you know what the purpose of it is? Don't you think that's important? Would you ever get a mammogram without knowing a little bit about what it is? A little bit? Would you ever do it? A little bit of? No. You kind of know a little bit of it. But for some reason, when it comes to matters that are political, let me ask you this question. What is the maximum amount of years that a person can serve as president of the United States? The maximum total number of years that a person can serve as the president of the United States. What's the max? This is as basic as you can get. Go to anybody and ask this it's as easy, right? It's a very simple question. The maximum number. Maximum. After that, you cannot, no matter what happens. Anybody? Don't answer all at once. This is the one. Andy says, look at people. 10? 8? 10? 8? Come on. 12? Very good. 12. There we go. So we got a bunch of 10s. We have 1 8, 1 12. This is rudimentary. This has nothing to do with any kind of political. This is 10, 8. Come on now. This is fun. Ask people this. 8, about 12, almost 12. I like that. Travis says almost 12. 12. I like that. Mezzo. 12. 8, 12. 12 years. 3 terms. 12. 12. That'd be 12. The answer is 10. The answer is 10. 16. There we go. That's good. The answer is, of course, 10. Now, how is that, you ask? How is that? Read it. 22nd Amendment. Read it. I don't want to read it. Tell me. No. Read it. Read it. It's 10. It's one of those things, it's those beautiful things that just, those wonderful, wonderful terms. And I love those things. And I want to go and just want to bring it up to you. 10. So when you ask somebody, well, what do you think is this? What do you think is the State of the Union? What is the purpose of it? What does he do? Is it mandated? Is it article? What? What is the goal? Has there ever been anybody in the history of the world who had, let's say, a Democrat watched a Republican president or a Republican watched a Democratic president, ever issue the State of the Union and said, that was great? Is it possible for you to say, you know what, that was pretty doggone good? That was pretty doggone good. What? Wait a minute, but you're a Republican, Democrat. Yeah, I know, but I like what he said. You can't do that. You can't. Why? Because we react. We react to things. This is one thing you'll never see on TV. A globe. A map. Without it, nothing makes sense. Nothing. Nothing. There is a YouTube channel on anatomy that I watch all the time. It's beautiful. Explains nerves, intervention. Oh my God, the cerebellum. They call it arboretum vitae. It looks like a tree. It's beautiful. All the blood is exsanguinated. And unless you see it, where it is, and how big things are, like how big is the stomach? How big is the bladder? How big is the heart? Kidneys are so tiny. Have you seen a kidney? They look like little tiny things. Like, you don't know. You just have no. The aorta, how thick is this? The femoral artery. Oh my God, this thing is incredible. Unless you see it, it means nothing to you. Unless you see it. And you will never understand what this means. You'll never understand any kind of discussion about Russia or Ukraine or Europe or the Soviet Union and what it was versus the Russian Federation versus this versus time zones versus depth. Look at China. Look where it is. Just look at the configuration of this. Look what is around it. You don't realize. Look at how from China, India, Pakistan, Iran, in this area, Mongolia. Look at the diversity of humanity. It's incredible. You'll never see that on a television program. You'll never see it. Never. And I don't know why. I don't understand what the purpose of that is. I don't know why that is. I have no idea. Because as my friend and I discussed yesterday, it's the level of understanding. How much do you want to understand something? How deep do you want to know? What does it matter? How does this work to you? Do you remember when umami all of a sudden? Umami? Umami. Have you heard of everything is umami? Umami. This is this world. This is this one of the 5 basic tastes. And what do they always do? They always throw MSG in there. I don't know what the heck that's about. But this umami, it's very umami. And all of a sudden, everybody wanted umami. Now, do you know the history of this? No. Do you know the chemistry behind it? No. Do you know anything about this? No. No idea. What is the level of understanding you want? That's what I want to know. That's what I want to know. That's the part which I find so fascinating. Now, my friends, let me talk to you about this, which is also very important. First is our great sponsor at mypillow.com. Remember, promo code Lionel. Remember years ago, for some reason I shan't understand, but the way that we paid homage to presidents, we had a white sale. Remember that? It's Washington's birthday. We have a white sale. Or they sold mattresses or something. I don't know what this was. For some reason, and other people have talked about it. It's nothing that unique. But for some reason, we decided that we're going to enjoy and punctuate this moment of patriotism, I guess, or history with a white sale. I never understood that. But you know what? Maybe they were onto something. And that's why, right there, MyPillow, use the promo code Lionel, and you receive a free gift. I love tautologies. A free gift. A gift is free. It's a gift. Here you go. Happy birthday. Yeah, that'd be $10.50. What? Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't matter. Think about this. MyPillow. MyPillow.com. Promo code Lionel. A veritable pastiche, a myriad, a mosaic of everything you can imagine involving equipment in your sleep kit, as they were. I like the way the Brits say, in your kit. And the one that is my favorite story, this is the one, you talk about level of understanding. Because when you've been doing this as long as I have, there are people who, when you tell somebody something, they like to respond. For example, you know, you might not want to eat that. Well, my grandmother lived to be 97, and she smoked 12 cartons of cigarettes a day. Really? Are you exaggerating? Not at all. And when the My Patriot Supply, I first mentioned this wonderful group of folks. This is for emergency food supplies, where you can save $250 on a 3-month emergency food kit. And when you look at this, it's like, my God, look what they've done. The detail, the amount of attention, it's exquisite. It's incredible what they've done. People would invariably say, well, you know, I've got a dehydrator. What? I've got a dehydrator. What does that mean? Well, I'm going to be okay in case there's any kind of a food emergency, because I've got a dehydrator. You're going to make what? Banana chip? Have you got them stockpiled? No, but I plan to have them. So when the emergency happens, you're going, well, I also have a fishing pole. Fishing pole. You're going to go fishing? Yes, I'm going to catch fish. I'm going to catch bream at the creek. Listen, Dan O'Boone, do you know what you're talking about? No, I just challenge everything you're saying. When you say something, I have a challenge. It's part of my disinhibition. I just say these things. So you're telling me that if you had to eat, just you, not your family, but you could go 90 days on stored, prepared food? Yes, magically, because my cupboard, my larder, we have a lot of foodstuffs. We have some peaches I can. And there's just this, listen to me when I'm telling you. I don't want to break the news to you, but you do not have emergency food. You have no idea what you're talking about. And if the idea of being stuck without food for long periods of time, for whatever reason, if it doesn't bother you, if it doesn't at all raise your interest, please don't listen to me. But if you're like the millions of people who say, wait a minute, he's on to something, preparewithlionel.com is where you will go. And you will keep buying and storing, like ammunition, like supplies, like for your larder, for your cupboard, for your closet. It just makes complete and total sense. Not because you're some wackadoodle, some frontier, isolate, whatever. It just makes sense. Preparewithlionel.com. 25 years shelf life, 2,000 calories a day for 90 days, 3 months per person. For the first time, you haven't seen this price since 2019. Preparewithlionel.com. That's it. If you followed me long enough, you will know, and I think you will realize that I love the notion of human behavior. Human behavior is what I think is the most interesting. There are things that I see right now. Have you ever seen somebody on Twitter or social media have a complete meltdown? Have you ever seen this before? I see them all the time. And you realize, wow, this is not good. They are not doing good. And by the way, we also want to wish our best to Senator John Fetterman, who was hospitalized after feeling lightheaded. We hope this has nothing to do with any kind of stroke or ischemic attack, which he suffered in the back. He's in good spirits, and I want everyone to be healthy. So if you believe in thoughts and prayers, I would send them accordingly to Senator Fetterman. By the way, anybody see Dr. Oz lately? Is he, where is he? I know the crudité prices were really causing him great despair and consternation and the like. Strokes are very interesting, very ischemia, oxygen deprivation and the like. It's a fascinating subject and something that I think a lot of us are very, very frightened about and the like. So, in any event, now, let me just try to tell you this much. News, politics, everything is based upon our collective reaction psychologically to everything. It has nothing to do with any kind of a rational understanding of what's happening. It's how you react to things. And the majority, in fact, I would love to do something if I were to work in a newsroom. And as you know, newsrooms, for the most part, are really going through some very serious times right now because of changing everything. We right now have so much information. Let me tell you a little story. I have a friend of mine who is a teacher, 4th and 5th grade. And there's something that we don't do anymore, and you probably know this. We don't do this. And what we don't do anymore is we don't have this thing called playing catch with a kid. Here, play catch. When I want to roll a ball, here's a ball. You can go into a house and say, where's your... Did you ever have a toy chest where you dump the toys out? Remember that? And the worst is those little soldiers, you step on them and, dump the... I hope kids still have that, but you should have at least a ball. This may sound silly to you, but a ball is important because it teaches a number of things. First of all, shape and sizes. Weight. This is kind of heavy. This is different. This is different. This is all these. They're kind of alike. This has a color. This has a shape. And believe it or not, when you're grabbing, when you're feeling, your brain is making calculations like you can't believe. And if you said, here, let's play catch. And if somebody goes back and does a Nolan Ryan on you, that's not good. So you have to judge motor skills, muscle memory, distance, strategy, talking, holding. And then later on, when you go from this, then somebody gives you a pen. Have you seen people today write? Have you seen this? Would you sign your name, please? Say, what are you doing? What's this, chopsticks? No. What are you doing? I don't know. It's like that fork thing, that fork where they eat. So my friend who's a teacher said that kids don't have any kind of ability to hold this because they don't have motor skills. They don't learn a piano. They don't learn the guitar. They don't learn anything. This doesn't move for them. They are raised from the time they are born. Here's a machine. Here's an iPad or something. Play with it. Look at it. Leave me alone. And the things that we did, stacking, blocks, looking at weight, gravity, symmetry, balance, all that stuff. Weird parietal lobe stuff, which is so critical. Sensorolocation, where are we? They don't have it. So they can't write, they can't hold a pen. And another thing, because from the time they're little, they have these machines that just blast stuff. They don't have to learn how to track because they've never played this, because they've never played games where you watch something move around the floor, or you've played something where they have no idea of tracking. So they can't read because when they open up a pad, it comes at them. There's just this explosion of activity. There's not any kind of a tracking. So they can't read and they can't write and they can't do anything. And then my friend, this teacher, said, imagine me trying to explain a fraction to somebody. And they're looking at me and they say, excuse me. I live in a world with buzzers, bells, music, flashes, movement, dancing, sound. And you're explaining to me fractions. You're going up to it. You're taking a piece of chalk. What are you doing? You're showing me a fraction. You expect me to learn? I don't learn like that. Where's the music? Where are the bells? Where are the whistles? Where's the screaming? Where's the dancing? I don't understand this. What are you talking about? I don't know what you want me to learn this? I might be able to read some, but this is where we are today. Now, you can take what I'm saying and you can say, oh, here he is again. Another one of these people, bemoaning technology. Oh, no, technology is great. Technology is wonderful, but it doesn't replace certain rudimentary, fundamental things. And that is what I'm telling you. And it's part and parcel of the way I look at everything. It's behavior. It's the quantum mechanics. It's how people broke down simple things like gravity. We've got to look at reading, family, adjustment, temperament, and how social media has completely, in some respects, destroyed social discourse and the like. Okay? How's that for heavy? Now, I realize this is a complete and total waste of time because 99% of everyone has absolutely no interest in this whatsoever because, frankly, well, it's just not. I'm not spewing profanities and I'm not throwing meat down on a board and chopping garlic. All right. This is my newsletter. I've got another one I'm going to be putting out today, which is a beaut. A beaut. Let me also tell you right now that I so demand of you. This is Mrs. L's YouTube channel. She has stuff that is out that is so good and so critical. Please, for you, for your family, for everything, follow her. Let me give you another one there. And learn. Learn what's going on. Learn what's happening. There are so many things to learn. One of these days, we're going to talk about hydro-imperialism. I hope not, because when we get to that point, that means it's already here. And I am not a Cassandra. I'm not somebody who's here trying to always portend doom. What I do want you to understand is to be able to appreciate things because there is so much that's happening. And unless somebody points them out to you, very frankly, I'm afraid you might miss them. And I don't want you to. Okay? Okay, good. Listen, thank you so much for being a part of this. Thank you so much for your attention. Thank you so much for your support. Remember, please like these videos. Please subscribe. I'm a dinosaur on this world. I don't want to talk about what everybody else wants. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in my world. I'm interested in the deep, the complex. I like to pull the layers. That's what I want. I want to have fun. I like to have fun too and laugh. But I don't think my particular way of thinking is appreciated or is to be promoted. That's what I think. But what do I know? All right, my friends, have a great and glorious day. Please, as we always end each broadcast with this valedictory, this coda, as it were. The monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Ta-ta.